Hey everyone, welcome to today's casual comparison video. I'm wearing the Piaget Polo S today, a beautiful borrowed watch, but we're talking about the Speedmaster. I've got two Speedmasters in front of the camera. One of them is the Hesalite, the traditional Speedmaster Professional that I have on loan from Exquisite Timepieces. They are an Omega authorized dealer in Naples, Florida, and they're the dealer that I bought the Sapphire sandwich from, which is right next to the Hesalite. I have become just a huge fan of the Sapphire sandwich. I've been an owner of both watches. I've owned the Hesalite a couple years ago. I've since sold mine, but I've replaced it with the Sapphire sandwich, and I'm really glad that I did. And throughout this, this casual comparison, I'm going to bring you through my reasoning, the differences between the two. So hopefully I can help a few of you guys that are cross-shopping both of the models, trying to decide which one would be the ideal watch to add to your own rotation. So hopefully I can be of some help here. They're both awesome watches. Although I did buy the Sapphire, I'm not a Hesalite hater in any sense of the word. I'm a huge fan of the Speedmaster in general. I don't think you can beat the history. I think this is an iconic design that has strength of character, even if it had no relation to NASA or being used in low Earth orbit or on the way to the moon, on the surface of the moon, on the return from the moon to the Earth. If you take all of that out and you look at this, it's just a very simple, legible, aesthetically pleasing chronograph that has lasting staying power. So I'm a fan of the Speedmaster, whichever flavor you prefer. I think they're both good flavors. I just like the Sapphire sandwich more. Now I'll place the dimensions here, the retail price, the specifications, so you guys can compare the two, and then also compare them to other watches in your own watch rotations and collections. I think, the nominal difference in 1 millimeter in the height between the two watches, it's not drastic, but I do prefer the thinner fit of the Sapphire sandwich. I think it melds on my wrist very well. My wrists are 7.25 inches in circumference, and I have no problem with the shape of the crystal. Because of the box shape, because of the dial, you get this kind of smoky, hazy ring around the outside edge, the circumference of the crystal, where it angles down and meets the aluminum tachymeter bezels. So some guys, they just can't stand that. They think it looks funky and weird. I've got no issues with it, but you will not find that on the Hesalite version. The Hesalite is a more dramatic shape. It's taller. It's almost a millimeter taller. And from an oblique angle, you can get some really cool distortions. And notice there is no smoky ring around the edge. I would say there's no difference in terms of clarity, haze, or reflections when you're looking at the matte texture dial. One of the things that I really like about the Hesalite version is the inclusion of the secret signature just above the hand stack in the center of the crystal. I'll put a macro shot in here where you can see a very small Omega logo, and it's subtle. It's really fun to see. This is something that Omega has done for decades. Anytime they've done an acrylic crystal, a factory acrylic crystal will have the secret signature in the middle. And so it's just really fun to see that being done here in 2020, and I think it's really enjoyable. Now the other differences between the two watches will stem from the movement and the caseback. Obviously the Sapphire sandwich has a Sapphire exhibition caseback where you can see the caliber 1863, which is basically the same caliber as the 1861, but there's a few differences. It's finished to a much nicer degree, and I got to admit, it looks fantastic. It's a relatively simple Lamania-based chronograph. It does not hack. It has 3 Hertz, 18 joules, cam lever actuation. It's not a chronometer. It's not particularly accurate, but it has a very nice look and architecture to it. And I love the contrast between the rhodium plating, the silver tone, and the brass tone. I like seeing the engraved areas that carry a gold inlay, which is fun to see. The addition of the synthetic stones, the rubies, the brushing of some of the plates and components, and how that contrasts with the black polish or the high polish screws. The overall look is very fun, and you will not see a composite or a plastic break here. Everything is metal, And you know, the anglage is nice. Looking at, looking actually at the minute register as it ticks over to the next position from the case backside, that's a fun experience. So I really do like that. When you're spending $5,000–6,000 on a watch, I think it's fun to see the movement inside, especially when it has a very pleasing aesthetic look to it, like this 1863 does. I think that alone, you know, it's worth the $1,000 premium over the Hesalite version. Even though the Hesalite version, this is the purest version. This is the one that is most similar to the versions that the astronauts used in low Earth orbit, you know, in space, really, on the surface of the moon. So there is some strength to that, some great history, some added robustness and functionality with the Faraday shield and the composite brake. But really, if you think about it, the astronauts, the ones that they used, they had a metal brake. They didn't have a composite brake. So I don't think it's going to be that much of a difference between the two. It's really, what's your flavor? Do you want to see the movement? Do you want to see the balance oscillating? Do you want to see the cam actuation? Or do you want the version that is most like the calibers that the astronauts used in space? So really, you've got to kind of choose between the two and what speaks to you the most, because that's why we're in this hobby. We want to wear watches that we love. It's more than just looking at your wrist and gauging the time or timing something that could take up to 12 hours in the case of the Speedmaster. It's about the experience. It's about the feeling. It's really about the watch on your wrist, its history, and how it makes you feel. As silly as that sounds, I know I sound kind of ridiculous, but I know a lot of you will relate because you're a crazy watch guy just like I am. Now, are there any other differences between the two models? No, the dials will be the same. The handset will be the same. The Superluminova C3 will be identical. The bracelets are identical. And I've got to say, I really like the design of the bracelet, the 5-link, the alternating brush, polish, brush, polish, brush look. And if you look at the links from a side profile, a cross section, you'll notice that they have a very fun oval shape where you have the same shape on the outside as on the inside that meets your wrist. And so it just ends up being very smooth, a great drape. And each one of these links are held together with 2 different screws, one on each side, and then a pretty substantial rod going through the center. So it has just a very robust feel to it. It's confidence inspiring. And I do like the clasp system. Now, admittedly, it's kind of fallen behind in recent years, as watches such as the Speedmaster, the Planet Ocean have come with these beautiful milled clasps that have on-the-fly micro adjustment extension systems that are really easy to use. The function pushers on the new clasps are they're a little bit larger, a little bit more elongated, and I found the larger surface area or real estate is more enjoyable to operate when it comes to the actuation when you're compressing the function pushers there. So I do prefer, my clasp on my Seamaster, and I look at the Speedmaster and it's good, but it could be better. And I think it's a little funny that you can see Speedmaster there stamped into the clasp. You know what? I know I'm wearing a Speedmaster. I don't have to read that if I flip the watch over and I'm looking at the clasp. I think that's a little bit excessive, but keep in mind, the Speedmaster is Omega's most iconic watch. You get this huge, ridiculous, and very, very cool ballistic nylon presentation box that says Legendary Moonwatch here in red. It comes with a loop that has a tachymeter on it, completely non-functional, but still really nice to pull it out, look at the details of the dial, the matte texture, the high contrast hands, look at the 1863 movement. If you have the Sapphire sandwich version, you get a Velcro strap, you get a NATO strap, you get a really cool booklet going through some of the uses that the astronauts put these through when being used in low Earth orbit or on the way to the moon, on the surface of the moon, and in the return to the Earth. So, I mean, there's a lot of fun stuff, but it's a bit ridiculous if I'm honest, because really we're wearing the watch on our wrist. We're supposed to be gauging the time or keeping track of an elapsed event. But no, I mean, Omega wisely, I think, even though it is a bit ridiculous, is really playing up the history here and the overall experience. And I will say it's ridiculous, but it is a lot of fun and I enjoy it, and I enjoy both watches. And I hope that this video has been a little helpful for those of you on the fence wondering which one to go for. Should you save a little bit of money, get the traditional Hesalite and enjoy that, or should you go with the premium, get the nicer movement, the nicer finishing, and be able to see it and get the added scratch resistance of Sapphire? Really, everyone has a different answer. My own answer is obviously the Sapphire sandwich. Now, just in closing, I would encourage you, if you're on the fence of buying one of these watches, I think you should do it sooner rather than later. We have confirmation from Omega that they will be updating the Speedmaster Professional. They will be placing the caliber 3861 in the case, which is a great movement. It is a definite step up above the 1861 and the 1863. It still has the same base movement, but now we have a coaxial escapement. We have anti-magnetic properties. It's hackable. It's a chronometer. It's going to be nice to have, no doubt. But I think that, you know, when Omega introduces the updated version, they will have the opportunity to do a price adjustment and bring their most iconic model upscale a little bit in terms of how luxurious it is and what the retail price is. So I have a feeling the days of $5,000 and $6,000 retail Speedmasters will be behind us very soon. And when they release the update, I think there will be an effect on the secondary market of these two versions, and they will go up in value and they won't be as readily available or as affordable as they are now. So if you're on the fence, I think sooner rather than later is the right move, and I'm happy to recommend Exquisite Timepieces. I've had great experiences with them over the months of borrowing watches, of purchasing watches from them, and they also take in trade-ins as well if you want to upgrade your own daily driver. All the links are in the description. Ask for Nick, tell him Bruce sent you. No, I don't get a commission, I don't get a cut, but I do keep access to these gorgeous watches that I can share with you guys on the channel, and I really appreciate that. So thanks for watching today. Let me know if I missed something or if you would like me to elaborate or expand on something that I didn't convey very clearly or very well here in the video. I'd be happy to try and help. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.